gotta say, I would not make it as a Dojai. I mean, that scene where they have to all run through all that thicket of thorns, I'd be like, and I'm done. Thank you very much.
Well,
Hey everyone, how's it going? I am Lazy Dude. Welcome to another Lazy Dude review. Today we're reviewing The Woman King. So The Woman King, starring Viola Davis, is about this band of women called the Dojai. They are part of this kingdom, and they are a bunch of warriors. This is a true tribe thing that they had back in the day, and yeah, this movie telling them their story as they are going through the time in Africa back in the day, and the story of one woman who is the leader and who became the Woman King. So let me just say right off the bat, I enjoyed this movie a bit. There was some things that I didn't like that I will get into, but I thought for the most part, the main thing that I really liked was the characters. We got Viola Davis, who is really great in here. You know, I never thought I would see Viola Davis as a butt kicker type character. You know, you see her in The Help and you don't think she's about to kick that lady's teeth in, even though you would want her to. But in here, she is so built, and they shoot her so well, and her scenes are so believable that I believe she is a warrior. I believe she is tearing men's throats out. I believe she is that type of person. And yeah, I really, really liked her character in here. She's very stoic, very strong, but vulnerable to the people that she needs to be. There is a lot of good acting scenes in this movie with her. The other characters are good as well. I liked that we follow one character whose name is... her name is Nawi. She's played by Thuso Binbitu. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. I'm hoping I'm not butchering that name. But she was really good. I liked how we got to see her from the perspective of somebody who wants to be that sort of type of warrior character. Where The Woman King starts to lose me a little bit is with some of its choices in the way it handled... Like it's so weird, because in some ways this is like... all the stuff I like about it is also stuff I don't like about it. Like, for example, the fight scenes, they're really good. There's a lot of them that are a lot of fun, a lot of good sword fighting scenes, a lot of things that, like, just make me be happy. Like, there was a sword fight in here, and I'm like, finally! A sword fight that doesn't have anything from the weird world of CGI. It's just regular sword fighting. Finally! Thank you! It wasn't on long enough, but it was a sword fight that I enjoyed. And then I was like, okay, but there was also scenes that I was like, wait, what? Like, there was a scene where, like, they were, like, fighting, like, this one woman was fighting, she was like, ah, and then she goes, ah, and then her fingernails were bloody. I'm just like, really? I don't know about that. But I thought, well, maybe it is something that they did back then. I don't know. But then there's weirder stuff. Like, there's a scene. We get the main character, or one of the main characters. She's like, okay, I'm good with a sword now. I'm going to go into battle. So what does she do? She decides to tie a rope around her sword and then swing it around and cut people with it. Are you kidding me? First of all, you're ripping off Prey. Prey did that first. It was with a battle axe, but at least with Prey, it's not like she was like, whoa, whoa. She was like, throw it, pull it back, throw it, pull it back. You know, that's what she was doing with it. It's a little bit unrealistic, but it's more believable than tying a sword with some rope and swinging it around. That is the most unbalanced weapon possible. You are not even going to give the equivalent of a paper cut, much less slit anyone's throat. Like, if I was seeing somebody throwing their sword around, I'd just be like, yeah, yeah. And now you don't have a sword. Ugh. So there was some stuff like that that took me out of the film. Like, when the film was just focused on the women characters and them being themselves, like, there's a scene where her and a bunch of the other young recruits are just walking down a road and they're like, don't mess with me, I will cut you down. And I was just like, I was laughing. They were so funny, and it worked off of each other so good. And it was really good. I enjoyed them. And then it was like, then they would do stuff like that, and then there was one scene that I really liked, where you had one of the women warriors and one of the men warriors that were facing off in this challenge, where they had a spear, a double-ended spear between both of them, and it was in their shoulders each. And then one of them would step forward, and it would dig more into both of their shoulders, but it was a test of wills. That scene, I was like, yes, that is cool, that is badass, that is empowering, that is some cool stuff. But then you would have other stuff that would just throw me off. But I'll get into more of that in the spoiler part of the review. But John Boyega, he was in this film. He is the king that they all serve under. And it's interesting because I actually really liked his character. I thought, for the most part, he was very well acted and he did a good job. There is a thing with this film. And look, this was a little bit of an education for me. I only found out recently, and this film really explained it, that it wasn't just white people throwing out nets, catching black people and bringing them back. There were also deals with tribes who would sell them their people, and this was interesting. Now, to be fair, I obviously know that this is a Hollywoodized version of it, because the moment we're here, the moment the camera's on all these characters, they're like, maybe we should not be slavers. It's like, maybe we should not be doing this. And they're like, yeah, that is an abomination, this practice that we've been doing for hundreds of years or whatever. It's like, yeah, I want your characters to get to that point, but I just feel like the way they're acting makes it feel like they should have already been at that point a long time ago. It's like they're all realizing, yeah, this is actually pretty messed up. But it's just it's like the way I don't know, I feel like it should have been more of a gradual process where it seemed just like everyone was on board of not selling slaves anymore. But I get why the movie had to go there, because you want to tell this inspiring story about this woman who was a woman king and who was a leader of this tribe, a badass woman, and then you kind of have to do that in order to tell the story of we can't also praise them while they're doing evil things like selling slaves. Now, there is a little bit of cathartic nature to this film. There's a satisfying feeling when you see an army of women killing a bunch of slavers. That is it's like Quentin Tarantino with Inglourious Basterds and the Jews shooting Hitler, or in Django Unchained, where the black guy gets to kill all the slave people. That there's that sort of same satisfaction in that, when you see that sort of thing. I will say though that it doesn't go all the way like a Quentin Tarantino would. I feel like because Quentin Tarantino will make a movie where the main characters have also done terrible things, but you can relate with why they did those things, or at least understand what they're doing with that thing. For example, the ending of The Hateful Eight has a racist and a guy who just murdered somebody earlier in this film hanging a woman, and you're cheering them on together, That's the thing, it's a weird thing to say, but that's the thing, they got you to relate to these characters even though they had major flaws. And I think with this, they got you to relate to the characters, but they didn't give them any flaws. They didn't give any actual relatable flaws of what their characters could be doing at that sort of time. And so I think it pulls its punches a little bit. And there's a scene, for example, where a guy is riding his horse at Viola Davis's character, and Viola Davis stands her ground and cuts down the horse. Now that is something that we have seen in movies before, where you just cut down the horse and to knock the rider off. But what happens? The horse instantly gets back up and rides away. That stuff like that makes me think you're pulling your punches. You're like, we didn't harm any animals. No animals were harmed. We know it's a movie, okay? No animals are harmed. What do you think this is? Old Yeller back in the day? Of course no animals were harmed. It's obvious that no animals were harmed. But you can have them be harmed in the movie. It's not like Viola Davis cutting down the horse, and Peter's gonna be like, oh my goodness, Viola Davis is a horse killer. Get her canceled. Cancel Viola Davis, everybody. No, that's not gonna happen. Everyone knows a horse isn't actually dead, but you can have him be dead in the story. It just rides off with the humongous gash across his entire chest. Oh no, a horse breaks his leg, he's done for, but he got his entire chest open, but he can walk that off. So the movie is a little bit of a mixed bag for me. And on one hand, I like the characters, I like some of the scenes, I like them interacting with each other, and I like the culture and the kingdom. On the other hand, there's also some things that I'm not really fully on board for. I want to get into that as I go into the spoiler review, but let me just say, for the movie as it is, I think that if you are a woman of color seeing this movie, you can definitely be inspired by it, and there's no shame in that. This isn't a movie where you shouldn't be inspired by the stuff that they're doing, the stuff that they are going through, and just being a badass warrior. All that is done really well, and so when you can see that, I think this could be inspiring for some people. On the other hand, I feel like some of the story beats are a little cliched, and I feel like it's treading down water that makes it feel a little bit more unrealistic. And okay, here's the thing. I had this thought where I'm just like, well, maybe they shouldn't have made this like based on a real tribe. Maybe they should have made it up, and it could have just have been partially inspired. But then I thought, you know what? I think that it's a good thing that this is based on a true story. Even though it's like a lot of the stuff we know probably didn't happen, but then again, it's like based on true stories have been taking liberties with stuff all the time anyways. I mean, Braveheart probably didn't sleep with the Prince of England's wife. You know, that probably didn't happen, but, you know, they just take liberties with it. So if this movie takes liberties with it, like, so what? I think it's important for it to be a true story, because I think it's important for people to have something that they can look into in history and be inspired by. I kind of wish it just didn't pull its punches a little bit. I wish it really hit it home. Let's tell us the real story, warts and all. If they were selling slaves, maybe you can have them selling slaves, okay? Just tell me the story of how it is. You know, something can be inspiring while they're doing something wrong. You know, it doesn't have to be the same thing. You know, I don't know. I know would make it more, like, it would just make it more nuanced for me. But overall, I enjoy the film. I don't think it's amazing per se, but I would still say it's a good enough movie to get a 6 out of 10. Yeah, I think it's a fun time at the movie theater. I don't really feel like I'm ever going to pick it up on DVD or watch it on Netflix. Not that if somebody was, watching it on Netflix, it's not like I'd be like, oh, I gotta turn away. You know, it's not bad. It's enjoyable. There's a lot of fun scenes, a lot of fun action scenes as well. But I feel like it does come up short because I feel like it pulls its punches a little bit. Anyway, now I'm going to move on to the spoiler part of the review. If you have not seen this movie but want to, please leave and you can come back later. Nobody ever comes back later. Anyway, so one of the things that I really didn't like about this movie is that they made the new recruit the daughter of Viola Davis's, woman king, leader of this band of women. Because there are already too many coincidences on the table. First, it's a huge coincidence that the man who raped her just happened to be the main villain of the movie. Just he happens to be leader of this other group, and she is wanting to kill him, okay? That's a big coincidence. But then you make the child that she had with him when he raped her the main character's daughter, like the recruit, the one that we've been following this whole movie. That is forced. But you know what's really forced? The way she found out. Yeah, here, get this. I mean, you've already seen the movie, so you should know this. But in case you stuck around because you didn't care, she stuck into her newborn baby. A newborn baby, mind you, baby that was just born. She cut into her and shoved in a shark's tooth that stayed inside her all this time into her teenage years, and then she's able to cut it out and pull it out and be like, aha, you are my daughter. First of all, let's not get around the whole fact that, cutting a baby, that's not going to lead to infection and stuff, the stuff that she has no protection against since she's a flippin' newborn. Let's not even get to that. But what, it never festered, it never caused her to itch, she never scratched and pulled it out. It was already kind of poking out from what we could see. She never scratched her shoulder and yanked it out of there. That is the dumbest, stupidest, over-the-top way that I could ever imagine anyone finding out that, oh, I'm your mother, sort of thing. You could have just had her, scratch a symbol or something into her, under her ear or something like that. I don't know. Maybe into her shoulder if you really wanted to go that route. But a scar would be more believable. Like a unique scar with the letter C or something, I don't know. But a unique scar would be way more believable than a shark tooth staying inside her body for over 18 years. Not, and I get what they're going for. Like, in the end of the movie where she says to her, is like, you are not what happened to me. You are not the bad thing that happened to me. You are just a result of it. You know what? That's actually really good. I would watch a movie about a girl who is the result of a rape and who reconnected with her birth mother. You know what? I would totally watch that movie. But the problem is, we already got a movie about a war going on here, and I feel like you don't have time to push that in, and it makes it feel like it's overcrammed and unrealistic. And on top of overcrammed, let's talk about the flippin' love interest in the movie from the girl character. And I'm like, well, they're all girls basically, but Navi? No, oh shoot. Naui. Okay, so Naui gets this Puerto Rican mixed guy who she kind of likes, and then she's like semi-romantically interested in him, but I just felt like that was so forced. I mean, first of all, they sleep together after her best friend or whatever had just been shot and killed. That was a sad scene. That got to me. I was like, dang it. Because I really liked her as a character. As I said, I like most of the characters. All the women characters, they are great. John Boyega is great. The villain is fine. I mean, he's not really too much to call home about. He's a little bit too over the top. Women can't do anything, sort of thing. But I just felt like that sort of love interest was totally wasted in the film, not needed in the film. And it just feel like, what does this add to the story of the Woman King? What is this? It's this big, powerful tribe of women, warriors. What does this add to it? I mean, I guess it adds a little bit women, even if they are warriors, they are still people who strive for human connection just like anybody else. And so to deny them that is wrong. But I feel like you could have addressed that and not necessarily had to have a romantic subplot in the movie. I don't know. I just feel like the movie itself, it's fine. That's why I give it a 6 out of 10. Did I? I did, right? I did actually end up saying that. Anyway. I gave it a 6 out of 10 because I feel like it's a good enough time at the movie theater, but I feel like it's these elements, the forced elements, like the forced romance, the forced flippin' plot of her being her daughter of the rape sort of thing, that is also forced. And then you got some of the battle elements. I already talked about the stupid sword on a string. But then you got stuff like they're okay, they have the warriors of the enemies coming and they know where they're probably going to camp. And so they hide explosive in termite mounds. And this I thought was very clever. I'm like, okay, that's cool. How are they going to ignite them? Are they going to sneak into camp and explode them or something at night? But no, what they do is they light up oil that was apparently on the ground. And they all go to all the different termite mounds and they all explode. Okay, just analyzing that for a second. First, you would have had to have put the explosives in the termite mounds at least a day before, because it's not like you could have done it and then walked away while they were walking into the area, because they would have saw tracks. It would have been so. It's at least a day before when they did that. So you had this oil on the ground for an entire day and it didn't dry up in the hot African desert. Well, okay, it wasn't the desert, but it's still Africa, it's still hot. So it didn't dry up at all. It didn't dry up, it didn't do anything. It just stood there and nobody noticed. You didn't think any of the warriors said, hey, anybody smell oil? Oh, look, there's some on the ground here. I wonder what that's for. Nobody did anything to... That feels unrealistic. I would have thought it'd be more realistic if you flip it. Maybe this is historically accurate. I haven't Googled it. once again, a movie that's based on a true story doesn't have to be historically accurate, but it does kind of need to be believable. That's kind of my thing. It's just like, I don't think that works at all. Oh, and then speaking of that, the final battle between Viola Davis and the other guy, I guess we'll call it the rapist, it ends with him stabbing her through the hand with a huge knife. Like, it was like almost the size of her hand. Stabbed her through the hand with it, and then she uses that to stab him back. And that's been overdone. It's been overdone, I gotta say. Somebody stabbing themselves with the enemy's weapon so they can use it against them, it's been overdone. If like it hasn't been original since like John Wick took the guy's knife and stabbed himself in a non-vital area and pulled out the knife and stabbed him. Since then, it hasn't been new. You know, it's like, I've seen it happen so many times now, and then when she just yanks out the knife, and then her hand is like fine, we don't even see it bandaged up, I don't think. I'm just like, come on, that would break every single bone in your hand. You would not be able to use your fingers or pick up anything ever again. I mean, that to me is just like, it's moments like that that it loses me, you know? It's like, why? Why are you doing that? Like, why can't you do something more... Like, look, it's all in how you shoot something. You might be like, oh, somebody getting stabbed, that's like, we've seen that a million times. Well, it's in the way you shoot it, you know? It's like, I just feel like the stabbing somebody when the weapon's in your hand and then stabbing them with it has just been overdone. But overall, those are like the main problems I had with the film. For story elements that I really liked, I don't think I have anything else to add. Those are... I enjoy the movie well enough. I would recommend it if you had a group of people that wanted to go to it and stuff. I just don't think it... I feel like it pulls its punches in some areas, and I feel like if you didn't do that, this movie could have been great, but as it stands, I still think there's worth to it because, as I said, it's cathartic when you see a tribe of women massacring a bunch of slavers. That's nice to see. It feels nice to see that sort of thing. So on the basic level, it has that sort of Quarantino revenge factor to it, so it's enjoyable on that regard. But beyond that, I don't really feel like there's too much to this film. Still, Viola Davis, got to give it up to her. She was great, and her performance was great in this film. She definitely carried a lot of it. All the actresses did. And John Boyega was good too. They carried on their backs. But that's all I got to say about it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and yeah, see you in the next one. Bye. If you love movies, you got to get yourself a movie palette. Movie palette is this thing where they take every frame of the movie, get it down to its basic colors, and put every single line of every frame in the movie and put it on a palette so you can see the color scheme of the entire movie right before your eyes. If you're interested in getting one of these and you want a good deal, then make sure when you go, you put LaserDude15 to get 15% off your movie palette. With the holidays right around the corner, this is the perfect time to get this for any movie buff that will love it. Just find out their favorite movie and head over to Movie Palette and use the code LaserDude15. Be sure to check out some of these other videos on my channel. And wait for more coming soon.